Homeworld Desert of Kahar is an RTS game, the fourth game in the franchise. Unlike the previous games, Desert of Kahar is not set in space. Instead, it is placed on a planet of Kahar, a planet that is dying. The main actors on it are the coalition of Northern Kihit and Kihit Galshan. The conflict driver is our protagonist Rachel Sejet, who is part of the coalition. She is the head of the science team tasked with investigating a mysterious energy signal deep into the desert. The coalition believes that there they will find a solution for their problem, aka a way to get them out of the planet that is going to combust on its own. In other words, they're trying to find a way to space. Coincidentally, the second fraction, Kihit Galshan, finds traveling to space in any shape or form a taboo. Therefore, their mission is to destroy the Sejet clan and the coalition as a whole. We got our base story and motivations, let's talk gameplay. Currently, there are two game modes that are available for playing, campaign and skirmish games. Both are plenty of fun, but skirmish runs into some problems quite fast, and for whatever reason the same unit in the campaign and in skirmish don't do the same things or have the same abilities. For you to understand what I'm talking about, I need to talk about the campaign first. The campaign itself is really fun. Each new mission is introducing new units, with them new mechanics and strategies to use, and it does something really important that a lot of RTSs fail to do. Keeps older lessons and older strategies relative. For example, an early lesson that you learn is with AAVs or Armored Assault Vehicle. This unit is made to deal with smaller vehicles at close range. What it sucks at is vehicles that have long range attacks. For example, railguns. To deal with that, AAVs have a pretty cool ability called Smokescreen. It is a pretty straightforward ability. You mark the spot and the AAV drops a smoke bomb that blocks the view of the enemy, making them untargetable. Early on you are told that you use that to hide your AAVs from long range attacks and to send in your smaller, more agile units to deal with the railgun. Now further down the line, this strategy does not work the best because the enemy gets units that have artillery fire. The part where the previous lesson is useful is because artillery sucks at close range combat. The solution to dealing with the long range artillery is to use the smokescreen not to escape, but to use it as a gap closer and put the artillery in a disadvantage and deal with them that way. There are quite a few cases where the game excels in giving players a mechanic and throwing in some complex problems to solve them with the newly obtained knowledge. The knowledge that is definitely so important that you definitely have to obtain to finish the campaign on the hardest difficulty. Here is everything you have to know about your units. There are 4 types of units in total. Your first type is the basic vehicles, which are Salvager, LAV or Light Attack Vehicle, and the Base Runner. The Salvager is a unit that's whole purpose is to collect materials. Light Attack Vehicle or LAV's whole persona is that they are small, like look at it compared to a cruiser class and the land carrier. It's tiny, but it's not about the size, it's about how you use it. On its own, it cannot do much, it will get destroyed quite quickly. In group, these units can handle anything, and I do mean anything. To help them with that in the campaign, they have 2 abilities. A speed boost that makes them go really fast, and a burst ability which increases their fire rate by 20%. In short, if you send this unit to destroy something, it will do so without a problem, and it will do it quickly. If it fails, it's not a problem, it's you, because you have not made enough of them. And last of the basic vehicles is the Base Runner, the most useless unit in the entire game. Well, it has a powerful ability, the Scout Drone, which provides vision for like 20 seconds or something. It also has the ability to build turrets, which are the most useless pieces of equipment ever. They do no damage and they're really easy to destroy. But let's ignore the Base Runner and talk more about my golden boys, the LAVs. In the campaign, I found myself using LAVs quite a lot simply because of their mobility, the ability to provide support to bigger vehicles, and the ability to flank the enemy while my main force is taking the damage. They are cheap to make, so if you do lose them by making a strategic mistake, it's not a big hit on your economy, and late game I found using LAVs more useful than using any of the heavy vehicles. Heavy vehicles are the second type of unit, and there are 3 in total. The AAVs, the railguns, and the missile battery. I told you everything there is to say about the AAVs, so let's jump to the railguns. The railguns are in this weird place, where they are the strongest unit because of their passive ability that ignores 30% of the enemy's armor. But as time goes on, they just become the weakest ones, for two specific reasons. They are quite fragile and they are slow, meaning they are quite vulnerable to artillery fire because the artillery has a greater range, plus it takes like one shell to destroy them. Threat number 2 that can obliterate them is the aircraft, but that's not as much of their fault as much as the missile battery's fault. The third and final heavy unit is the missile battery, a unit with specific purpose to destroy anything that flies. And here we enter kind of a limbo area, but to explain the missile batteries, let's talk quickly about the aircrafts themselves. There are three kinds: a small bomber, a bigger bomber, and the gunship. Small bomber shoot 2 small missiles from a great range. Big bomber drops one huge bomb, but he has to come really close to the target, and the gunship goes...
Hostile strike craft down. Ready. Copy. Returning to carrier.
The problem is the way developers envision the aircrafts versus how they actually made them. In missions, it is shown to you time and time again that your aircraft are made as support units. They come after your main force, which is a complete lie. You see, missile battery cannot serve its purpose, reason being its range. No matter where you place your missile battery, the small bomber will outrange it every single time. Meaning that the plan of the attack is usually to send in smaller bombers to deal with the missile batteries, and then after that send in all of the remaining aircraft that you have to obliterate the main force. And at the end, if there's anything left, send in your land vehicles to finish the job. It is not only my opinion that it should be the other way around. The game teaches you that it should be the other way around non-stop, but it's not. It messes up with two main things: the tempo of the game and the nature of the game. The moment aircraft is introduced to the campaign, all of the base vehicles and heavy vehicles become useless because they simply have no way of defending themselves and usually die really quickly because of their low HP pool. Now, the effectiveness of the aircraft is somewhat kept in a check by the amount of ammo they can carry in one run, and by the time it takes to refuel and rearm them. That being said, the game's tempo is slow. It's nothing like StarCraft or Command & Conquer. You have to understand the size of these things that are duking it out. They are not the size of a house or a tank. They're the size of the neighborhood. The tempo of the game is just right in my opinion because it gives you just enough time to use the abilities of every unit, how it's meant to be used. And while yes, the airplane's purpose is in a way to accelerate the tempo of the combat, and in a way is a tool that should in theory be used only to support your units, they're overtuned and unnaturally speed up the gameplay. Not only that, but they make most of the units useless, even in an economical sense. Why would I pay for 3 AAVs and 3 railguns and 2 missile batteries that cost 10 times more than a singular bomber that can destroy them in one run? Missile batteries just suck. One of my biggest grudges with the RTSs that I have is that they punish you for splitting your units into more groups, while the Homeworld is actively rewarding you for that. It's almost like you're playing a strategy game. It allows for maneuvering, it allows you the ability to retreat your units. Name me one RTS that does that. It's amazing. If you plan an attack and it turns out it won't work, you just run away. Yes, you will lose some units, but it's not over. It creates an interactive back and forth. I have 4 more main things to talk about, and I'm going to mix them all together because this way you will understand them the best. The AI, campaign mission design, cruiser type units, problem that come with a land carrier, and I'm gonna sprinkle some details about the game. The problem with AI is the amount of the time it gives you a chance to destroy it. The AI is not that interactive in skirmish or campaign. It is not trying to make any kind of moves or create any kind of advantage, and it is unable to detect that it has an advantage over you. Now, It does send in squads to attack you, but it never tries to destroy you. The best way to show you how the AI and the missions design work is the last mission. The last mission is located on Kartoba site, which is where the signal we were following all this time originated. The premise of the mission is that we are going deep behind enemy lines, risking it all to reach the signal site where we hope to find the power we were looking for. The Gaussian are unaware of us at the moment, but they will surround our position the moment we reach the location. I'm gonna quickly explain a mechanic I have not talked about that is a part of the campaign. Usually in RTSs during a campaign, you're gonna have a set of units necessary for you to complete the campaign. However, Homeworld, they have more of an RPG approach. All of the units that you built and all of the resources and upgrades that you have are transferred from mission to mission. They even show you a really cool report before every mission, showing you the information on your fleet and inventory. So the mission loads and Rachel's jet is sent in front to explore the site. It is a crashed spaceship and she is to inspect it. Right behind her arrives the fleet, which is tasked to set up some scanners and to defend them. Now, let me introduce you my fleet. It mostly consists of battle mortar and support cruisers. Honestly, I have no complaints about them. They are big, they can take damage and they do damage. It is really important to give them support units or to keep them in group, because on their own they are easily outmaneuvered and can be dealt with, but in group they're unstoppable. Defending the scanners with them was no problem whatsoever. The enemy sent in a couple of squads that were dealt with without problems. A cutscene passes and we are rewarded with a big ass space cannon that has a solid cooldown but does a lot of damage. The mission is to destroy the Gaussian carrier with that cannon, all the while you are attacked by their army that counts in hundreds. No joke, it is one of the largest attacks you will have to fend off. My strategy was pretty simple. I ordered all of my units to fall back to the carrier and put my artillery behind and my battle cruisers in front. While it was the largest attack I had to fend off, there was a weird lack of enemy aircraft. I believe that just goes to show how unbalanced they really are. After destruction of the Gaussian carrier, another big and better carrier shows up which we have to destroy. They go out of their way to show you how serious this whole situation is. You know what that carrier does?
He's just standing there, menacingly!
The problem is that throughout whole campaign, there was no threat of us losing whatsoever. The only time the AI will attack you is with the scripted attacks. It will never use the advantage it has to destroy you. And this is the perfect example. The best way to summarize all of the missions are stupid and lazy while being absolutely epic and fun. And let's talk about another completely unbalanced thing. Capices. Capices is something called a land carrier. We have, well, the Americans have sea carriers. This is a land one. It is an awesome concept, a mobile base that serves as a unit producer, a research and development center, an aircraft carrier, a material storage, and a combat unit. Wait, that can't be right. A combat unit? You see, there is this really cool mechanic that is early on overpowered. Capici has something called power cells that can be used to activate 4 systems that improve Capici in some way. A armor system, repair beacon system, rocket system, and last but not least the attack range system. Now, this is where developers confuse me. The missile system. You see, in campaign early on, there is a problem that is caused by this. You and your enemy have access only to AAVs and other small vehicles that do nice amount of damage in big group. That on itself is fine. Problem is that early on, you and the enemy don't have big groups of units. It's usually around 5 to 8 units in one group fighting at the same time on both sides. The oversight comes in form of HP. While AAVs have around 1500 HP, Capici has 10 times that. So what I found myself doing a lot is sending Capici in front to deal with the enemies while preserving the rest of my units, making early levels, and I'm talking about 5 levels in a row, trivial, even on the hardest difficulty. The reason it confused me is I believe that making a PC the center of your strategy is the point of the game and one of the most amazing mechanics later in the game, but it does disappoint early on. The developers, I believe, did foresee this, and in a couple of early levels they limited where Capici can move, and that way forcing the player to use their units to their fullest potential as to complete the level successfully. Which is just lazy, but okay. And then they give you a win button.
Full armor eliminated. Be advised, Allied craft.
I understand that they went for the epicness of the setting, and that they did that amazingly. Each campaign felt immersive and important as a previous one. They went full on for fun. If I was to rate the campaign simply on how much fun I had, I would give it easily a 9 out of 10. But the trade-off comes in shape of challenge of the game, or rather how easy it is. Introducing the ballistic missile. Are you stuck in some shape or form in a campaign? Send a ballistic missile and blow everything to kingdom come. I can even get over the fact that they gave the player the option to do so. What bothers me is how cheap the missile is. It costs only 500 RUEs. To put it in perspective, the smallest unit is the scavenger, the guys collecting resources. They cost 100 RUEs. So 5 scavengers equal 1 ballistic missile capable of destroying everything in a quite sizable radius. Does not make for a good game balance is all I'm saying. The game is focused on units and it is micro heavy. There's no base building and there are a ton of fun units to choose from. The skirmish has so many problems and I'm so triggered by it, and I don't even want to talk about the small amount of maps. And not only that, some of the maps repeat themselves. They just increase the number of players that can play the map. In total there are like 6 different maps. While this game definitely has some balance issues and lack of replayability, I would warmly recommend it. Me personally, I would give it a 7 out of 10. If you want to watch something else, people found my Prey and Doom videos the most interesting ones. My username is Sichka92, and as always, till the next time.